To begin with, we'll start with the session update. Today is day 10 of a 105-day session. The board ended up endorsing 3 bills, which I'll talk about in a minute. But the fourth issue that I also want to make sure we don't lose track of has to do with the payments to the benefit improvement account. There was a payment due 2 years ago that was not made. It is possible that that $25 million payment plus interest could be made in the supplemental budget. So we'll be tracking the supplemental budget, or it's possible that both the past payment and the payment that is due this upcoming September could both be dealt with in the operating budget. So we'll be tracking both of those on the website, as well as making sure that the rates adopted by the board are reflected in the operating budget. With respect to the 3 bills that were endorsed by the board, all 3 have been introduced at this time. One of them, the spousal consent bill, right now we only have a House version of that bill. Tammy, could you kick it to the next slide? House Bill 1408. The Senate companion hasn't been endorsed or hasn't been introduced yet. The month of death payment bill has been introduced in both the House and the Senate. It's 1414 in the House and 5335 in the Senate. And then the bill dealing with the gap in coverage for police officers and firefighters who were not reported in LEF1 because they failed the minimum medical health. That issue has been introduced in both, that bill has been introduced in both the House and the Senate. It's 1297 in the House, 5355 in the Senate. To date, we have not heard anything on hearings for any of those bills. A fiscal note was requested in both the House and the Senate on the PERS eligibility gap bill. That, right now, for day 10, is all I have to report with respect to the legislature. We will be tracking the fix, the public disclosure or the reporting requirement fix for last year's PTSD bill. And we'll also be tracking the issue of the L&I presumptions, and we'll be reporting on those at future board meetings, and we'll be tracking those on our website. I don't have bill numbers or information for either of those at this time. With respect to the administrative update, admin activities, there's WACOPS has their winter meeting, begins today. After the board meeting, I'll be going over there and speaking to them, giving them the same legislative update that I just shared with you, and then answering questions that they have. The State Council of Firefighters will be having their legislative conference later in the month. Haven't heard yet whether I will be presenting anything at that conference or not. The next newsletter is in the final stages of production, and we anticipate it being mailed out February 8th. There's a chance if everything goes super smoothly, it might get out a little bit earlier, but look for it in your mailboxes after February 8th. The next meeting of the board is scheduled for Wednesday, February 27th at 9:30. That will also be same format as today. We'll have a legislative update and an administrative update. By that time, we'll be approaching the first cutoff for bills to get out of fiscal committee, so we should have activity to report one way or another on all of the board's bills. Ade or Pat, do either of you have any questions?
No, I do not.
If you can hear me, no, I don't either.
Okay. Thank you both. And then I will speak to you all February 27th. If you have any questions before then, of course, just hit me on my cell.